This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode does not contain any spoilers to our knowledge, but does mention Euphoria, Shadowhunters, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Supernatural. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Daughters of the Moon, books 3 and 4, Nightshade and the Secret Scroll by Lynn Ewing. And Jessica Marie, are you happy to be back in 2000s LA?
I very much am, because I just came back from 2000s LA, not in a time traveling way. I was just in LA for work for like a week. But so many of the places that were referenced here, I mean, I know that they're referenced before, but even book 3 specifically, so much took place on Wilshire, and it runs through like all of LA. But I was like, oh, well, based on proximity of where I was, where were they in the book? And I go, I could have walked there on a good day. I didn't, but it was really refreshing and exciting. And then there were other times where I was like, oh, I definitely walked in this, when I was going to say Maddie, when Jimena was like talking about certain parts that she's in, I was like, I've definitely walked through this area and she's saying it's not so great. And whoops, like didn't know that part. So I think anytime we read something where we have some sort of familiarity with it, it's fun because you're like, oh, I've been there. I know that place.
So were you happy to be back with our 4 girls? But for Nightshade, I mean, your girl down day one.
Yeah, since day one. And I think it's super fun because you never know when you read these, any type of series, the more you get to know your characters and you're like, oh, she's my favorite. Oh, this person's my favorite. But she remained my favorite the entire time. And I was telling you before this episode, she was giving off some strong Maddie Perez vibes. And I was here for it because Maddie is such a favorite of ours in Euphoria. And it was just Maddie in a book. Like, it was great. She was going hard.
It really was. Oh my God. Himino was absolutely just killing it. And the opening of Nightshade, she is being her badass bitch self, walking down the road, tapping on cars when they come in her way. Like, I'm sorry. No.
And then, like, when they were saying, like, it was raining and she's in this, like, clingy dress, I was like, okay, Isabel Lightwood, go off. We love it.
Her strappy, ankle-breaking heels, like, all right, go.
And it's raining, and she's like, they know I'm not strapping because my clothes are way too tight tonight. Like, it's so good. And I mean, I know we'll get to this later and when we keep discussing about it, but I know we've discussed this, how Maddie would use makeup as an armor kind of thing when in the show Euphoria. And I picked up on that more again in this read, because we talked about it in the first episode between books 1 and 2. But every time before they were going to go hard, they were like, their eyeliner was sharp enough to kill a man. Thank you, Taylor Swift. And then they were glittered out. If they were going to fight and if something was going to happen, they were going to go down in style. And it's still so badass to this day.
We love consistency, right? Like, we just love it. The cover to Nightshade is purple. And here is her outfit. It is a halter top and black pants. That is what she wears, Jimena, in her final battle, as we like to call it, when she gets all done and she gets her tattoo. We'll get to it. I love this book, Nightshade. I love this trope. This trope seems very much like Charmed to me for some reason. Like the ghost, not a ghost, but like kind of there, hidden boyfriend, can't tell my friends, but like, oh, emotional damage kind of situation.
Well, that's pretty consistent considering on like what we grew up watching too.
It really is. But I did like this new theme that we have throughout books 3. And we see it in 4 too, where it's like, Catty and Jimena really want to solve these problems on their own, right? They say they're going to do it. They're going to stay with the team, but they don't. Both of them.
Sounds like very much like the other, strong female leads that we love in our fantasy books.
Yeah, no, for real. And I have to say, I remember reading this the first time. I was not expecting this Tartarus plot line. I remember being like totally taken aback, even though like it's Daughters of the Moon. Like, hello, where is my head? But I was, I don't know. I was gonna say like pleasantly surprised again. I was like, oh, Tartarus. Cool.
Speaking of Tartarus, when they're at MacArthur Park in LA, all I kept thinking was like all these quakes. And I guess every time there was a quake, we learned that Vito was like, cause he says to Jimena, he goes, let me show you how I came out of Tartarus every time I came to visit you. And then, we learn through the book that every time there was a quote unquote earthquake, but it wasn't really an earthquake. It was earthquake to, the people from LA, but the Daughters of the Moon knew better, basically. They're like, that's not really an earthquake. And you find out that that's how Tartarus was opening up. But everybody's just like acting like it's a normal thing. And it made me think like, what is this? The Hellmouth? Are we in Sunnydale?
It's like everybody's very blasé about it. Like, it's
everybody's
fine.
super casual about it. Oh, another earthquake. And I feel like maybe that's how it is in LA. I've been fortunate enough to never experience one when I've been out there, but that has to be terrifying.
I think it would be terrifying. But Jimena does say like, no, my blinds are not shaken. So that's not an earthquake. My blinds always shake during an earthquake. Or it's like, there wasn't. Or
they were calling it thunder or something.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, well, there wasn't lightning either. So, I mean, I guess, that this is our, we're using our brains here. We love it. I really, okay. I want to get into the book. You brought up the earthquakes. We meet Vito right away.
Right away. Should we do a rundown of like the main characters in this book?
Yes. Give me the main characters of this book. Although before you do that, I do want to say the way that these books are laid out and the way the information is repeated to us, I do feel like you could pick up so far any of these 4 and have enough like, oh, okay. I'm going to go back and read the first one now, because I'm interested in all of this stuff. But it does tell you what has happened up to the point in each book, which I find very helpful.
Well, and I know it's a huge series, so I feel like the first 4 books, you can definitely do that. I think by the time we get to book 4, it is so plot heavy that you might want to be like, even if you're reading partway through, you're going to be like, you might go back and then you go, okay, now I'm going to read 4 with all the additional context that I have now. That being said, we have our 4 main characters that we've had. I say they're all main characters, even though these like books 3 and 4 are Jimena's and Catty's books. But you have Vanessa, whose power is like she can be invisible. She has molecular disappearance. Catty, which she's book 4, she has time traveling powers. You have Jimena, who's book 3, and she has premonition. Serena can read people's minds. We've already discussed Serena's book. I think that was book 2. You have Stanton, the followers, the Aatrox, Michael, who we discussed in book 1. He's still like in these books, who was Vanessa's boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, and then it seems kind of like in limbo. You have Colin, who is Serena's brother, which we have made lots of speculations, and we get our answers in these 2 books. And then we have Vito, who is Jimena's ex, but he's her ex because he died. But he's back. So there we are.
There we are.
The mains. Oh, and Toby, who plays a role in the 4th book, who winds up being Vanessa's boyfriend, and maybe a little bit more, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. Vito's dead. Vito's dead. We know this. We know that Vito's dead. I love the way that Vito is portrayed here because we meet him in like the first chapter. Jimena's walking the rain. We already described it. She hears, Jaguar. She's thinking about Vito, and all of a sudden she turns and there he is. It's a street light and his coat is out and it's like flapping right as he walks towards her. And she's like, are you real? And they have this moment. And later she's like, yeah, I fucking like hallucinated that whole thing. What am I on? Like, he's dead. What is going on? I love this because I love that Vito eats. I like that little detail because it confuses us.
It solidifies. You're like, wait, maybe he's not.
Maybe he's not a ghost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because he's eating a lot and he's like digesting. I can see like everything that's like, what is this?
And he's knocking. Well, I guess now saying that, I was like, he was in the kitchen. He's knocking things over. Mm-hmm. And I go, but like, spirits are known to do that too. So it would have to be the eating that is tangible. Yeah. But then you have the grandmother telling her, oh, you've always had these powers. You've always like been able to see spirits. There's a part of you who still wants to believe that he's still here. And she's like, maybe,
but he ate all your he ate all your like chilies. He ate all your salsa and tomatoes. Like, I didn't do that. Did I do that? Like, it's just very funny. It's a little detail. We talk about the little details. It's just a little detail that I like to really throw us off, and it just makes Stanton's like shade throwing a little later just that much more satisfying. So I guess like the basic plot here is Jimena sees Vito and she doesn't really know what to do about it. And she desperately misses him and wants to be with him. But, Colin is also around.
I love that trope of whenever I'm reading, either like the best friend sibling trope or the sibling's best friend trope. I love that. I don't know why. I think it's always fun because you know what? Because it's not friends to lovers. There's always been an attraction there, but it was also very like taboo.
Yes. And it's so fun. It's so fun, especially because Colin just like seems really adorable. Do you think? Like
he seems so like, and you can tell that she's like trying to push him away. Like you're so stupid. Go date some bimbo. Blah blah blah. Where he's like a thinker. Like you could tell he's just like so much deeper than that.
No fear, right? No fear.
Yeah, he's just so sweet. I mean, like I would have fallen for Colin. That is no secret. I feel like anybody listening to this podcast and reading those series, they'd be like, this is who Jess would fall for.
Like this sweet boy. Oh my gosh.
Oh, such golden retriever energy.
Such golden retriever energy. Somebody that is not sweet, does not have golden retriever energy. Cassandra and these premonitions that is going on. So Jimena has, I think, like 3 or 4 premonitions. And the thing with her is that her premonitions always come true. That is just like something that is like kind of reinforced and drilled into our heads here. And we should remember that. But she sees one with Cassandra and Vito, like having a situation, like kind of being connected. We just don't like Cassandra with the STA on her chest. The thing though with Cassandra, and then we get Morgan as well with her new like piercing, like Morgan is like so, but we get some information about the I can't even say it right. The Cincy?
I was saying Cincti because I think I was CINCTI. So I think I was just like breaking it up. It could be wrong. It was like Cincti.
I have no idea, but we get to learn that that's the inner circle of the Aatrox, and I do
inner circle, not a good inner circle.
Yeah, the bad inner circle. And I'm bringing this up because Cassandra has been like recently favored because she went back in time and like did something, and she has a plan to get the Daughters of the Moon. And we know because we read this that she went back and fucked around with Vito and like saved him.
I was gonna ask, like, do we find out what the thing was? Because I feel like she messes something in the past. She changes the past. But I feel like if it could be very confusing if you're not familiar with fantasy or sci-fi, or like the way Ant-Man describes time travel in Endgame, or with Doctor Who, like having specific, like I feel like having specific pop culture reference really helped understand that moment where they were like, you can't change the past because then the past is technically your present, which is affected, like that past is like your present. It's like very secular and how it was described. So do we ever really find out? Because either way, he never died. He just exchanged his soul, and the exchange with the Aatrox is what allowed him to be a solidified version of himself. But he was still considered like dead in the shade.
Yes. So you are absolutely correct. 1,100,000,000%. And he and Vito thought that he had like tricked Aatrox, right? Like he's like, no, I made this deal, but like, you know, I'm smarter than them. Like I got all the goods, right? But that wasn't the case because he ends up betraying it in the end. But yes, he was the thing that they went back and they made the bargain so that he could worm his way in to Jimena. I think that is a theme here, is that the men, right?
Don't trust men.
That's
the theme.
That's the theme. Don't trust men. Because don't trust like secretive men, new men, just like jealous men.
Look at how Toby,
you know, that's consistent.
What was it? Like the clinginess, like when they were saying, all of it.
That's consistent through books 1 through 4. You know, and then we have Stanton, you know, okay, we'll get to it. But I like this. The drama between the girls. This is also kind of a theme between books 3 and 4. So Jimena does not approve of Stanton. Like, and they are not really telling the other girls, Vanessa and Catty, about Stanton. They're kind of keeping it secret. That's not really cool.
And she's making it vocal too. It's not like she's internalizing it. She's like, you need to I don't like this secret keeping. You have to put this out there. This isn't my secret to tell. So you need to be the one to do this.
Yeah. And it does create like kind of a lot of tension here. And Jimena does have some fights with some of the girls, just like she is really defensive, especially with Serena. Later on, when she sees them out with Stanton, they really just like have it out. But I like that because these inner working like kind of dynamics are real life friendships, and it's not like perfect all the time, especially when it comes to boys like this and in high school. For the age that this is targeted to, this is real life, especially when we get to book 4 with Vanessa and Toby and Michael, and like Vanessa changing. But like, you know, we'll stick here in Nightshade for right now. I really do have a soft spot for Stanton. Do you have a soft spot for Stanton?
He has grown on me. So, I mean, I know when I read the first book, and my live reactions I would send you, I was like, I don't trust him, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, book 2, I think it was book 2, where you have the ship, maybe it was still book 1, because you have Vanessa, like, saving him as a child, the selfless act. And then 2, you're like, what side of the fence is he playing? I don't blame anybody for being a little cautious when it comes to him. And then, of course, by book 3, I'm like, there's some, like, I like him. I trust him more than I was expecting to by this point. But I respect Catty being on the edge of being like, there's something about, I mean, but she's, you know, when we talked about, in our HOSAB episode where, what did you say about being an Olympic medalist in, what was the word you said? What was the language you said?
I don't know.
But basically, you were like, basically, Catty's the person to be like, I don't trust this guy. And I'm going to let you know. And she doesn't like any of the guys that her friends are dating. And she's like being vocal about it. And she's like, it's just something about them. I can't put my finger on it. And of course, especially at this age, and for some people even now, that's a very sensitive topic to broach with friends.
It really is. It is a very, very sensitive topic to broach with friends, which is why I think Jimena doesn't really tell anybody about Vito for a long time. And she's just like, in the park, chilling with him in the park, chilling with him in her grandma's apartment, which I love her grandma, by the way. Oh my God, that woman, bless. I want to eat her cooking.
I forgot how young they were, because they were talking about like the change that we know happens at 17, and then her grandma was like, "Oh, I'm going to go down to San Diego for like to help out with the restaurant," and I was like, "She is 15." Like I know at that age we were all at that like a lot of people are given that permission to like babysit and take care of raise families basically. But God forbid you had the house to yourself at 15 in LA. I mean, in Florida, no less. I can only imagine LA. You're like, nope. Nobody's going to come over here. I don't know. Maybe I just grew up in a really strict household.
Well, no, my family would never leave me alone for an extended period of time, especially overnight. Like, absolutely not. And also, houses are scary at night when you're a child and you're alone. So, like, and
you get in your own head.
It'd be like me and the dog. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Speaking of, though, kind of creepy things that happen at night, this Tartarus pit, man, I am just flabbergasted that I didn't remember this plot line, and that the Greek myths are so big right now, and everybody's talking about it. And then here it is. Here's this like 20-year-old story about these teenage girls, and here's Tartarus. It's just this.
And then like you had Cerberus. They were like, don't look back, don't look, like you just knew what some of the reference points are. After probably about book 3, but definitely in book 4, it kind of reminded me of how you have the framework of the show Supernatrual, where you have an overarching plot each season, but then you have the episodes, which are like the mini lead ups into like the bigger thing that's going to happen. And that's what the series so far feels, is like you have the big thing that's happening, obviously with the Aatrox and trying to go after the daughters, and then they need to like, kill with kindness basically. And then you have all these like little mini things happening in between to build up to the bigger thing.
And one of the little things that happens is Stanton calls out Vito and says that he's an animated shade owned by the Aatrox. Like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, I can see this clear as day. And Jimena gets so angry. She's like, what the fuck are you on about? And Serena is like, why would he lie about, like, he would know. 2, why would he lie? 3, I trust him. And 4, why are you so defensive? Like, you also feel like something is off here.
And she's been saying that, and she was obviously, she's in a relatable aspect to her, lashing out at the people that you're closest to, and she's obviously close, like Jimena, like Serena they've said, like they are, out of like the 4 of them, they're all best friends, but obviously she's closer with Serena. Serena, like, she's like, she has had my back since day 1, and I trust her with my life. Like, that's repeated from the beginning of the series and even in this book. And in fairness, she keeps trying to get Vito to talk to her, and he just keeps procrastinating on the whole situation. Oh, well, let's just enjoy the sun. Oh, well, let's walk to the park first. Oh, let's do this. And finally she gets to that point and be like, fucking tell me. Because you keep dragging this on, and now I'm looking like the fool.
Yeah, it's like, you're making me look like an ass. Like, just talk to me. I'm so done with this. And they do finally have like a talk, and he betrays the fuck out of her. Like, and it is so wild. He's like, okay, let's talk. All right. And then he's like, well, let me wear your necklace. Let me wear your necklace. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Like, I'm sorry. Step the fuck back. No, thank you. And then we get complete and utter betrayal. Cassandra comes out. She's like, ha, ha, ha. And just...
And it's such a low point for her, too, because at this point, she's feeling like, well, am I a daughter? Am I a goddess now? Am I not? This is just supposed to be a symbol, a representation. It doesn't actually have truth to it. So, and on top of all of that, at this point in her life, the love of her life just returned back from the dead. Of course, there's going to be, I guess, like, this makes sense, because what other reason would he be here? Like, you start doubting yourself at every angle.
And you're 15. Like, and you're 15. Yeah. That this is just so important. You're 15. So Cassandra comes out after this, like, betrayal, and she, like, sucks all of Jimena's power out, right? Very scary thing. I was just like, oh, the whole time, like, oh no, oh no. So she's powerless, or she feels that she's powerless, right? And then we have this really wonderful scene with Diana and, like, the 3 dogs, and it kind of, like, goes back to Diana was there when Jimena was born, and we have the story in the beginning of the book, which is like, you'll be a fierce protector if you're born in the wilderness, and Diana, and I love that, and that's how we get the Orpheus myth. And she tells Jimena that it's inside of you, your power is, like, inside of you, and it's like, thank you, feminism. I didn't know I needed when I was a child, but really appreciate it. And I reread now, like, yes, thank you.
And how about the additional line where she was like, the things that harm you can also help you? Like, tell me, like,
Stop.
I don't, even though this is why we reread, because if I read this when they came out or when I was this age, like this young age, an impressionable age, I would not have pulled this stuff. And I think this is just such another wonderful reason why we reread, why there should not be gatekeeping in genres of reading. You get more lessons out of some of this stuff when you're older.
Absolutely. And this Vito like dying in the church, that this whole, like, scene, really emotional. And I remember as a kid being like, where's the battle? Like, okay, so this is plot moving on. But I remember being like, God, Vito, like, he was like, I just wanted to, like, be here and, like, experience. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Did you feel that this time, if you felt that way, you're like, where's the battle? As like when you were younger, did you feel that same way reading it now?
No, now it made me appreciate that scenes like this are in books for children, because children go through all different stages of grief for all different reasons. And so any representation of that is helpful for someone that might need it, especially because for children that those resources just, like, aren't always available. So even just talking about it in 20-year-old books is more helpful than not. Right?
No, I love it. Yeah, right? Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, like, and everybody goes through things differently and how they have to process things differently. I mean, and you see that at the end of the book too, where she feels like she finally had permission to, like, feel again because of, like, the words that he said in the church, like that can stay with a lot of people.
And what does Vito say? He says, like, go with that boy. That boy will love you right. Talking about Colin, like, because they had a little, like, kind of beef at Planet Bang.
I love Planet Bang. I will say that Planet Bang has to be, like, the bronze, because they have teen night, like, every other night. But at this point, I'm just choosing to believe that they had fake ID.
Yeah, they had fake IDs. They were living it up.
They had teen night, but then, I don't know, totally, like, some of the people, I'm like, I don't think you're a teenager. There's no way. Toby might have been a senior at whatever the competitor high school was, even though we know he was much older than that.
Much older.
So, running theme with all the boys in this book too.
Yeah, just
between Chris and Toby and Stanton and Vito.
And Vito, we got these.
Vito was but Vito was like the most age appropriate.
Yeah,
in air quotes.
I think so. We are at, like, the end of this book. We are at the showdown in the park. Jimena is wearing the outfit that she was wearing when Vito died, when she found out that he was dying. So it is a halter top with black jeans. And she decides to go to Catty, and she asks Catty to do a tattoo on her, which, respect, not something that I would do. But we have faith in Catty's abilities. And I can see from the book cover that it turned out nicely.
That looks so good.
Look at that. So
We love a poke and stick situation. Go, Catty.
And we also love book accurate covers, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's a little detail that did not need to be on that book. It's just quality. We're here for quality. I love this so much. Okay, so Jimena has a gun. She uses the gun as distraction, right?
She has two. She's packing.
Yeah, she's packing. How do we feel about this showdown situation?
You know, I understand her frustration and her rage. I, once again, will say a lot of these characters are better than I would ever be.
It's true.
Yeah. Just like, okay, you know, but I understand, like, that's the whole, I mean, we talked about it in, like, the episode 1 and 2, was that it's a roundabout saying, like, you can't hurt and fight them with violence and evil and anger. You literally have to kill them with kindness. But I could understand, like, especially with how Jimena was raised, like, she's probably, you know, and then you find out more about her background where, that her mother, the way her mother kind of like, it shone a light on, like people who have just different family dynamics. Her mother chose, you know, drugs over her, and she stayed with her grandmother and her brother, but her brother moved to San Diego to be with their uncle to work on a restaurant. And in a way, her grandmother, their income is based on her food. She like basically does home cooked preparation for all the moms in LA and Beverly Hills and Bel Air and that area. If you look on a map, it'll make more sense. It's like, you know, within 2 to 7 miles from that radius. So Jimena is just, I think it's just a beautiful way this book shows that family dynamics are all different and survival is going to be different for everybody.
Yes. Oh, how perfectly said.
Because thank you. But Jimena even says it for Vito when they're talking about Tartarus, and she's like, please, like, he's not a bad person. He did what he needed to for his mom and his family. And I think, and this is just like another thing that why reading is so wonderful, is that if you aren't empathetic before, perhaps you get those different insights that allow you to be more empathetic and see from a different perspective before staying in kind of like a very stagnant, closed-minded sort of way.
Talking about survival, I love that in this final battle, the girls are all together, right? They're all together. They're like, what, you were just gonna like, you thought you would do this alone.
That's consistent though too.
We love it so much. So Serena, Vanessa, and Catty are hiding. They're all doing their thing. The guns are distractions. You know, we're talking to Cassandra. We're getting evil plans. We're getting monologues. We're getting talking. We're getting, you know, angry.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad guy monologues.
Yeah. You know, they're just talking.
Monologue trope. I
mean,
remember
why
I
not?
thought about that. I was like,
go off. Tell me more. Like, okay, fine. I love it. So Cassandra has, I forgot to mention, Cassandra starts getting premonitions like Jimena, but hers don't end up coming true. We love this. They don't always come true for her. So Serena does give Jimena her power back from Cassandra in like a little like switcheroo power situation. We love that. We love everybody coming together. And then Cassandra's premonition doesn't come true, but Jimena's does, because she ends up kissing who?
Wait, Colin? I love them together.
But
I didn't realize that was why the premonition. Oh, because we know her. She had the premonition of her kissing Colin. We knew that in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then I love when they do finally kiss, and then she's like seeing more premonitions of them together, and she's just like so giddy and giggly about it. And then in the second book, transitioning into that one, she's just like, Colin's my everything. I can't wait till he comes back from Hawaii, blah, blah, blah. And I love that Serena is not like, oh my God, that's my brother. Like, you could tell she's just so happy that her brother, who she loves so much, and her best friend, who she loves so much, are like, yay, they get to be happy together. I don't need to know anything else, but they're so happy together.
It's like, that's enough. But that's a perfect example for how the books kind of build on each other. So by the time we get to, and we're now into book 4, The Secret Scroll, this is Catty's book. Look at that hair. Love her. It is plot heavy as fuck. And Colin is out of the picture. He is in Hawaii on like vacation. And Jimena just mentions it, as you said, like on and off. But we don't know about their relationship unless you read the previous book. So it's all like building. And the plot is so delicious in this book. I love it. I love it so much. It gave me such Secret Circle vibes. And The Secret Circle is, Gone Too Soon. That show is canceled with Phoebe, I believe,
Phoebe
right?
Tonkin. Yeah, she was in, like, it was only 12 episodes maybe. It was like a one-season miniseries thing, yeah.
So
probably
good.
On Netflix or wherever they sold all the CW content to.
Yeah, so good. So good. But this book definitely had Secret Circle vibes, which, Secret School. So this one opens with a little thing about Selene being the darkest before the brightest, the moon. So never give up hope. And we open here with Vanessa and her new boyfriend, Toby. Fuck this guy. Everybody,
from day one, likes him.
Everyone said, fuck you.
Yeah.
Love the girls coming together and being like,
and they weren't quiet. And this is another thing. They weren't quiet about it. They were like, he's creepy. He's always around. He's always eavesdropping. Like, your whole thing about breaking up with Michael was because you weren't, like, you felt like he was being too clingy and not giving you enough you time. And all of a sudden, you have this guy who is worse. Like, how are you okay with this? This is completely contradicting everything that you said.
And Vanessa starts to act different, right? She starts to dress different.
Because that's what he likes, and he wants to do this, and he wants to do that.
And there's so many references to her body language and being like, she recoils from him. She like frowns at him. She doesn't like actually like him. But she willingly, say that in air quotes, like goes with him places and like chooses to be with him. It's so creepy.
And then you later also find out, but she like feels like she has to validate. She was like, when she has to use her powers, she has to think of like happy, calming thoughts. And she tells Catty, she's like, but don't read into it, because that you find out that her happy, calming thoughts are thinking of Michael.
Fair. When we find out what Toby looks like, God,
he's so good and so patient. He's another, they all have one. Like the ones that they're like love, like they're picking good ones. These other problematic ones are like, not so much.
The Secret Scroll, I like this book a lot, not only because it's plot heavy, but it's like a murder mystery, right? We open up with like the phone call, it's like Law and Order, someone's dead, have to go identify the body. It's Zoe Reese, Catty's biological mother, and I like how I can't think of her name. What's her name? Her name is Kendra. I like how Kendra is like, where's the fucking proof that this part, like, where's the paperwork?
Yeah. She was like, you know what, you go sit down, like, let me handle this. Mm-hmm. She was so good about it. And she goes, you called me. Why did you call me? You say you have these facts. How do I not know?
Where are they?
Yeah, where are they? You could have called anybody. My daughter is I adopted her.
Yeah.
I don't have any of this information. What makes you think?
How's she going to identify her? What the fuck? Fuck, lady? Again, so much happens in this book, but it is compact enough that these little scenes are important because it establishes who Kendra is. And we absolutely love that.
And we said this earlier, too, about these books in general. And maybe not a lot of world building is needed because it is in like quote unquote present day. But you can get so much. We have so much detail. We have so much plot. We have so much description, but it's not overly flowery, where these books are less than, I read it on my, my iPad mini, and it said 128 pages each book.
Yeah. So this size that I'm holding up is about 250.
Okay, so like, and Laura has a physical copy, and it's not like a huge. It's small.
It's
probably
narrow.
dimension. Yeah, it's small. It's narrow. It's probably like, what would you say, like 4 inches by 8 inches, maybe. Okay, it's the size of her phone.
A little bit bigger.
Like lengthwise,
Yeah.
and then width it goes. Yeah, it's probably like 4 inches.
Yeah. Just a crazy size.
It's like, yeah, you could throw it in your bag, throw it in a purse. It's not gonna weigh you down. And I just, you could go through them so quickly. And you want to keep going too.
Because what did we learn in this book? We finally get a glance, our first look at the regulators. I was all about this. The static, right? This like build-up scene in the morgue. Like,
it's very like secret Men in Black. But like Kendra even says, she's like, it's the government. Because let's remember that Kendra always knew about Catty having some sort of special ability, but never in her right mind thought it was going to be connected to being a goddess. She thought she was just from outer space because she found her like, near Roswell by Area 51, walking along the road. And she was one of those who, she doesn't trust the government to begin with. Like, fair, also.
Fair.
Like, I get it.
Accurate.
Sorry. And like FBI agent, we totally trust you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Appreciate all your work.
Yeah, thanks for helping us. But she wanted to protect her daughter, and she goes, they were so familiar in the morgue. She's like, those are exactly the people that I saw, which is why we didn't even stop in the town that we were initially going to fall asleep in. Like, I know in my gut that they were looking for you. We're just going to drive through the night. And then she reads all like the scroll, flash forward real quick, and she's like, what are you? And I'm like, your daughter is she's not an alien, and that's what you're worried about.
Right.
And
It's
even her, like,
what are we focusing on here, Kendra?
And her daughter was even like, are you disappointed? She's like, yeah, I want to get the hell out of here too.
And she's like, I thought you'd take me with you. It's like, well, damn. Okay, let me unpack that. Parental expectation. Damn. Just, wow. Okay. If we travel back in time, to Catty and Vanessa traveling back in time, I do really like how Catty kind of like, she's like, come on, come with me. And Vanessa's like, no, I don't want to. And Catty's like, I don't give a shit. Come with me. Like,
I like when she was like, guess I'm going to have to do it by myself. And let's not forget that you said that I shouldn't do anything by myself because it's too dangerous. But if you're putting me in this position, I guess I have to.
It's like
the gaslighting.
And she's like, fine. And then they have like the shittiest landing of all time. I think that is really funny. She's like skidding on the sidewalk.
I like when like Vanessa's kind of like, I'm never going to do it again. And Catty's like, bold of you to assume we're even going to survive.
Yeah, bold of you to think we're going to live through this, Vanessa, who can't control her molecules to keep us invisible. Miss needs to practice.
Like, they've been best friends since they were 5. If they didn't interact like that, I'd be shocked.
It's amazing. I love it. And I like how they're like, okay, we're going to like split up. We're going to like do all this stuff, whatever. And then Catty gets the secret scroll. What do you think about the secret scroll? What do we think about the mysterious stranger? All of that.
I have a whole voice memo, and I guess I could share it here, that I was going to send you, and I spiraled. I went, like, out in left field spiraled when I was like, oh, my God. I thought, here, you ready for it? I didn't tell you this, obviously. I thought that, okay, we find out the scroll. Now, not only do we go in the past, we, like, quadruple down. She goes back into the past of when her mother gave her up. Zoe gave her up. Stanton is there. The mother was telling Stanton all the drama. I thought, because part of the scroll said a fallen goddess and a follower, I was like, oh my God. Stan's 1,200 years. He's from the 1200s. Stan is the baby daddy. It was Zoe, and that's why she went to him right away, and he protected her and has always looked over her. I was like, Stan's dad. I was like, I got it. I was so ready. That's not the case.
It's not the
just
case.
Some other follower. But when I was like, I got it. Finally, I got something right. I didn't.
Well, they want you to think Stanton, though, because they say like a high-ranking, like inner circle follower, like a long time.
And she even said, she was like, I couldn't have been pregnant if things didn't happen the way they did, but I knew you needed to be protected. And I feel like that's also like a running theme of like, I can't think of the other book immediately right now, where it's like, we had to protect your memories so you didn't know who you were. And then they grow up not thinking who they are. They're like, wait, so y'all knew the whole time and you were like hiding me from the government or whatever. The whole time. Maybe it was Kricket. Kricket was kind of similar to that she was hidden on planet Earth.
Yes, she was. Kricket was very, very much like that. Gosh, I wish I would have heard that voice memo, but that was fucking hilarious.
I have it. I recorded it, and I even have the preface that says, I'm recording it this way so you don't get it in the text right away, so you don't know how far behind I am.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So I think we can say that there's a subplot. There are two subplots here. One is with Vanessa and Toby, and Vanessa and the kind of discord that Vanessa sows between everybody through her influence by Toby. Because it's Vanessa that's like, yo, should we trust Maggie? Yo. So what's up with Maggie? Maggie never lets us do what we want to do. Maggie's always like, no, you should wait.
Which is really weird because that's also the part where Jimena is like, no, we should listen to her. And usually it's the other way where Vanessa is like the rule follower, all this, that, the other thing. And even Catty was leaning towards Jimena, and there was that little voice in her head. Maybe it was like a loud voice and I just don't recall. Where they were like, you never followed the rules before. Why are you going to start now?
But then we also get Vanessa has taken off her moon amulet because it's like giving her a rash. She's like, I don't know, it was itchy.
I thought that was so weird. That was not that there were a lot of things that were obviously glaring red flags, but I was like, nope, that was a boyfriend thing. I knew right away. Right away. He was already sus all the way up until that point, and I didn't trust him to begin with. Granted, I don't trust a lot of people, so I'm always wrong in these books. But that was when I was like, no. She's like, my mom said it was like a reaction. I go, you have had that on your entire life, and all of a sudden you're getting a reaction to it. Bestie, no.
Yeah, it's like bullshit. The second subplot that we have here is and it has carried from books, I think 2, 3, and now 4. Catty's lonely, right? Catty's lonely, and Catty wants a boyfriend. Everybody else around her is very happy and in love, and she's just left out, and she's not really secure in herself. They kind of tease her about look up when you're dancing. Don't look at your feet, look around. People really like you.
I feel like Jimena is the only one who really helps her get out of that shell, to get out of her insecurity, to realize she's the one who holds the power the whole time, and I also respect Catty where she's also not this, for lack of being sensitive, she's not desperate enough to date anybody either. She's lonely, but she's like, but I'm not gonna be with the first person that throws themselves at me. And Jimena's like, you're gonna look around. This is dealer's choice. This is you. Everybody's looking at you. You don't even realize it because you're in your own head. And she's like, that one. Jimena's like, Bet. She's like, here you go. Now you were friends. Go dance.
Go dance now. And of course, that's Chris. And Chris is just he's weird, but intense, but sweet.
The skater boy aesthetic that they were the Jenko jeans, which y'all look that up. It was because they were he was wearing extremely long shorts that were up to the tops of his shoes.
I was like, oh, I know what those are.
I know what that is. And then he had the spiky hair and the studded belt with the chains. I was like, oh man, this boy, he was at the park listening to OG Blink with Dude Ranch or something.
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. Oh my gosh. But if we're talking about back in time, I want to talk about first the sparks that keep like flying around whenever Chris is around, which I thought was like a giveaway. But I want to talk about this time travel that Stanton does with Catty, because once again, Stanton is coming in clutch because Catty has not been able to go back to that moment before. She doesn't have like enough like oomph in her when she gets like into the tunnel.
It's still only like, I feel like reading this 4th book, she can only go back like 24 hours. And if she goes back further, it's kind of more of a jumping situation.
Yeah. So with Stanton, she like, holds his hand and like gets all that energy, whatever. And they go back. And I love this whole moment because I like when time travel like kind of folds in on itself, right? So it's like the address with the test, and the test is from before, but she's got it and it's here and it's all like back and forth. And then Stanton knows her mom and the reader's like, the fuck? And it's so fun. And then she's like, here's your burned moon amulet. And she's like, I thought I'd never get it back. But then it's Zoe here that says, don't trust Maggie. Like, she's the one that says, don't trust Maggie again. So it's like, okay, Vanessa's being weird as fuck and she's saying, don't trust Maggie. But then my mom is also saying, don't trust Maggie. So, and that's the catalyst to get Catty to go break into Maggie's house. As you do.
Things are, yeah.
As you do.
But it's so interesting because it's, again, because we're in different points of time where Catty is visiting her mom. You have at one point in this moment of desperation where she literally has a 6-year-old that she's trying to save and she feels like the world is against her. She's like, don't trust this woman. Now you flash forward about almost 10 years later, and she's like, I had a lot of inner work that I had to do. And I was just like mad because I did, which I do understand to an extent where, because we've had this conversation in general on the podcast of, if you gave me all the information, we wouldn't be here, which is part of Zoe's frustration with Maggie. She was like, she told me to do X, Y, and Z, but she wasn't giving me the why. And if I knew the bigger picture, maybe some of my choices would have gone differently. That being said, I do know that I said some of those things to you 10 years ago out of frustration and different growth for me. So...
yeah, it's, and then we get to her, like, her beautiful scene at the end where it's all like light, love, and forgiveness. We love it. We're not there yet, though.
Yeah, we're not there. Sorry. I'm like hopping all around.
No,
just like Catty.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I do want to mention that Toby and Vanessa are dancing in like sexiness at Planet Bang. And, it's like leather and they're very like in on it. And the comment is like, Vanessa would never do this. Yeah. Vanessa would never do this. She's doing this for a guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, that and the whole wearing his boxers under his shorts and all that stuff.
What was that? Vanessa. What is the dress code?
Right? And then even her friends were like, granted, this is not to slut shame at all. I don't believe in this, but this is, we have to also remember the context of this book is like 2000s or something, early 2000s, where they were like, do you know what people are going to think? And she's like, so what if people, and I'm like, Vanessa, you are,
you care about this.
Yeah, like this is stuff that you care about and was always like important to you. So like all of a sudden, where'd the switch flip kind of thing?
Well, for a dude, but it's mind control, so it's okay. It's okay. So the secret scroll that Catty got from Chris has been given to Maggie for translation and safekeeping. But Catty breaks into Maggie's apartment with Vanessa like watching or whatever. And she takes it, right? She takes it. Am I remembering that correctly?
Catty takes it.
Yeah, Catty takes it because she sees Maggie with some regulators bringing them into the apartment, and she's like, "What's this? What is this?"
And then Vanessa's with her, so they have to like get out of there with her invisibility.
In the balcony. Yeah. Oh, that'd be so scary. I like how Catty is like, what the fuck? We could have been dead. We could have materialized and like been right there. She's like, we didn't. Did you die?
But did you die though?
Did you die though?
That
was Vanessa. And as weird as Vanessa has been acting this whole book, that part where she was like, Say less. I did appreciate because like she pulled it off, by the seat of her pants. I really do love it. The translation of the secret scroll, I wrote it down. The secret scroll translation. The child of a fallen goddess and an evil spirit will take possession of the scroll and not fear the curse, because there is a curse on the scroll that whoever owns it will like die, I guess, more or less. Interestingly, Stanton claims that his family and his father are the rightful like keepers of the scroll. So Stanton is like helping her to kind of be like, quid pro quo kind of thing. Like, hello.
That's part of the reason why I thought he was also dad, because I was like, oh my God, if it's his family and she's an heir, that means she could technically be his heir. You should see I'm going to send it to you after we record.
Oh, I know. I love it. But it's true. It's true. Like, I totally understand, like, where I think we're supposed to think that. The curse, though, is slowly killing Kendra, but Catty is unaffected. But Kendra has been, like, handling it and translating it and trying to be, like, very helpful because this is her field of expertise. We get Catty and Zoe having a nice conversation before Zoe like accepts her like, fate and like goes off and everything. I love this because we get some information about the transformation and like the thought process behind that.
Well, this is the first time that we really had additional information about the transformation of like what they decide to do at 17. Like, will they go into like the next phase and remember everything, or will they go on to the next phase and say, you know what, I'm not going to pursue my goddess form, fate, and I get to forget everything. What I liked about this moment was that it felt full circle from the beginning of the book, where this is the moment you find where she goes, she's not, Zoe basically is telling Catty like, oh, how did you know I was here? All this stuff, this, that, the other thing. Wait. And then she goes, wait, don't tell me, because it probably has something to do with my future or my fate. Like, it was kind of like that moment too. And then we also know it's that moment that she accepts her fate is her body in the backyard, which we know from the beginning of the book. That's how Catty finds her mom's, or Zoe's body, her biological mother's body in the morgue. Like, it's like this full circle moment that she knows the why. It's all just very secular, but it only makes sense because of the time traveling thing. Like, it's those pieces you put together when it comes to sci-fi.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And then what is the information that we get here? Catty's mom could move things with her mind. Like, that was her power. Really love that. And she went to the Aatrox because she was afraid, right, of the transformation. I love this. We here at ACOFAE love consistency. We love consistency. And one thing that we have always been consistent about is be specific with your wishes. So when Miss Zoe goes to the Aatrox and she's like, I want to live forever. I want to live forever. They were like, bet. But you're going to age forever too. Nightmare situation. No, thank you. Always be very specific with your wishes.
I still don't have the specifics of what my wishes would be. They're so general that I know I'd get fucked. So I wouldn't even make them just yet. I'd be like, I can't even say like one of my wishes would be give my wishes to Laura because she has them down. Because then I feel like just that, even that general would be like, but you didn't say when.
You didn't say when. It could be for yeah. Oh my gosh. You just have to be so specific. It's like such a thing. But I do really like that. And I do like that Zoe like goes to Celine. It's like a whole acceptance thing. And, she does finally go and she gets a second chance, which I also think is important and a nice theme here too. Forgiveness and a second chance for everybody. My note here is Chris is the stranger and Toby is a nasty regulator who takes Vanessa. And that's about right. The regulators are scary, I think. I do believe that.
Well, even with Toby, this is another, I don't want to say battle, but it was another instance where, Toby, it was Catty either had to burn the scroll or he was going to take Vanessa. And, and Catty was like, no, I'll do what you need me to do. just let my friend go. And what I really liked about, they finally meet up at like Griffin Park, the like observatory or wherever, to the carousel, and friends come through again. Like,
Friends come through.
Every time they're like, you didn't think we were going to let you do this. Like, they had a plan, but there was communication, and they were going to say, I just love that they're always constantly there for each other. It might not be the second, because obviously, like in the last 2 books that we've learned, like they're like, I'll do it myself. It's fine. I don't need all of this. I really like, they're like, okay, well, you didn't tell us before. Little upset about that, but we'll work through it, because we always work through it and we always talk it through, and we'll come out stronger on the other end. And they constantly, sometimes it's even like, we got to put our personal shit aside because there's a bigger picture, and they respect each other and they're able to work through all of that. And I really like that.
Yeah, they do. Not only that, so it's not only like a strong like friendship group, but also Celine comes to visit Catty, and she's like, why are you following the rules, Catty? Like, Catty, you never follow the rules. Like, be true to yourself. Which is like the second time now between these 2 books that has kind of been like drilled in. Like, it's inside of you. You can do it. Love that. Miss that as a child. Love it now. I want to talk about the dragon. I want to talk about the dragon stencil that Catty puts, I think, on her thigh. Miss Ma'am. Between her like slit.
How did I feel like I glanced over that. What?
Oh my gosh, yeah, she
I
like
feel like
it's
I was
a
like
whole
reading like
stencil, yeah, and she gets like they don't really go into her outfit, and on the cover it's just like a black like tank top. I know she talks about like a split like tube top that they got from Vanessa's mom's closet, but like there isn't a lot of detail in her battle outfit, which is like kind of upsetting. But she does have the fake scroll, because like that's just genius. Like let's do that. And then again, yeah, the park and the carousel. Toby and his whole situation, and I do love the decoy. But I don't love how after all of this is happening and like Toby finds out and there's like a battle in time and like in the tunnel and all of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Catty just like goes home. He's like, go get the scroll. She's like, okay. And like goes home and like gets it from her desk. I was like, what are you doing?
I thought like, I feel like, and granted, I know it's the length of the book, they're short, but I also feel like, why did this, out of all of the other battles, feel like they were stuck in the time vortex, I guess you can call it, hovering. They were like, just drop us wherever we are in time. We'll just drop here. And she's like, I can't. He's controlling everything. And I just felt like, and the next thing you know, like they're at school. Everything's done.
Like, no,
and I was
fine.
like, wait, what? I feel like I missed something here. Because how did it end that abruptly? I go, and I kind of feel a little bit like that with the third book too, where I was like, wait, that's it? Like, where's Cassandra and Carl and Morgan? Like, they're all supposed to be, but like, that's also, I guess, like, those are the ongoing questions, because you're like, where the fuck is everybody going? They're just like, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, the same thing can be argued with the series with Buffy, where you're like, that's it? That's the end of the episode? Where the fuck is everybody? We're just going to keep acting like it's fine.
We're just walking home now? What's going on? Like, okay. But that is more or less what happens, because after the battle, it's just like she goes home. She talks to Kendra. Kendra's okay. Kendra's getting better. Like, we're all feeling good. And then Catty has a conversation with Chris, and Chris is like, we can't be together. I'm old
right now.
Yeah. I'm
like someday.
Yeah. Someday we can be together, but like I'm on the run. I got things to do. People are after me. I'm on this like,
I actually have to find the scroll now. And she's like, my bad. And he's like, no, you did the right thing. But my job is literally the keeper of that scroll.
Yeah, so gotta go.
And I done fucked up. I cannot find that scroll, so I gotta go do that.
I gotta go find it because the scroll is lost somewhere in the tunnel. And that's how the book ends. And then we have, like, I'm looking at books 5 and 6 in front of me. So much plot in here. And every book, I love this because every book is getting us closer and closer and closer and closer to the decision that everybody has to make. And I'm just like so interested in all of this. Jess, do you like these books?
I love these books. Thank you so much once again, Laura, for like introducing them into my life, because like, it's so fun, because I think sometimes we'll cover books and we might not have the same elation, but we still want to read the book. That doesn't mean we're going to be like super excited and glary, but we still get to have our discussions out of them. But this one's always like a fun read, because I think I told you you were like, I don't have a lot of notes. And I said, neither do I. And I was I was going like highlight crazy. And I go, no, these books are just supposed to be about vibes. Like, that's the whole thing, because we could still pull stuff out of them. Do you have a favorite character or favorite, or even like a favorite character and a favorite book? Because that could be different too. You could be like, this is my favorite character, but this is my favorite book. And, or it could be one and the same.
Excellent questions. Thank you for asking. I really love Serena. I think Serena is my favorite character so far, as well. And my favorite book, that was right? Favorite character, favorite book?
Yeah.
Favorite book, I think, is... I think favorite book is also Serena, Into the Cold Fire, because it's like a little bit more mysterious. We're like just getting Stanton. It's like bad boy, secretive. It's still, everything isn't like kind of fleshed out yet. So I still really like that. Which is a good transition to book number 5.
Well, that was I was going to ask you before we even got started. I was like, because I didn't want to look ahead. I said, I'm going to wait to talk to you to see like what happens next in the series, because we already have our 4 main females and we have each one of those. And you said, well, funny enough, you say that because I have book 5. And what is book 5, Laura?
Book 5 is called The Sacrifice, and it is I'll read the back for you. Stanton is in love with Serena, but it is a relationship that can never be. Serena is a daughter of the moon, a force of good whose mission it is to stop him and his kind. But Stanton has been trying to stay away from Serena, but their secret is out. He will have to choose between the life he has always known and a love that could destroy the person he cares about the most. The Sacrifice. Stanton.
So obviously we're going to read.
Obviously we'll go there. We'll go there. But I must know, Jess, who is your favorite character and which is your favorite book so far?
I'm still holding steady with Jimena as my favorite character. And I want to say it's probably between books 2 and books 3 that are my favorite. I think I would, it's going to be between the 2 books. Nothing against the other ones. I feel like the first book obviously starts setting us up. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's that's pretty consistent with any type of series, is that like the first book is always just like the jumping off point. And then you could kind of discover more and you learn more about the characters. But yeah, I really love Jimena. She's just so wonderful.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm so glad that you love these books and that you want to continue to read them. So I guess we will do 5, The Sacrifice, and 6. 6 is very fun. 6 is called The Lost One, with a stranger on the cover who we do not know.
See, and that's what made me wonder, because the stranger on the cover, and I guess that is also like interesting with book 5, if it's going to be like a Stanton-centric book. Most of the books that we cover are very much like female-led books. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Stanton is not, this would be like if we read the Reese point of view, we would be like, oh my God, I'd be eating that shit up. So now I don't even know. Maybe this is a continuation, or maybe it's 1 through 4 from Stanton's point of view. I don't know. I'm going to go into it blind like I usually do. But interesting with who this mystery person is on the 6th book, because you said, you're like, nope, we haven't met that person yet.
Have not. Very excited to meet that person.
So thanks for joining us this week. We feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.